Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. Andrew Tate, one of the most controversial figures in the world, also an avid chess lover. It's a weird dichotomy, but nonetheless. A bit about him before we get into the game we're going to be reviewing. He claims that he sat at about 1800 ELO. He's banned on everything, so it's very difficult to find out. But all I could find was that he normally sits at around 1600 ELO. So whether or not he has reached 1800 ELO, I personally can't confirm. He says he has, so for the sake of this video, we'll say he's hit 1800. Incredible achievement. Incredible achievement to get to 1800. It means he's clearly put a lot of time into the game. And he's a notorious Queen's Gambit player. I mean, he loves it. That's all he really ever plays with white. He's said it himself a few times. And when you look through any database of any account he previously had, I mean, it's just Queen's Gambit. I'm not going to lie. His dad, Emory Tate, a name probably a lot more familiar with the majority of my audience. An unbelievable chess player, an international master. I think he hit career highs of like 2400, just over 2400. Very notorious Roy Lopez player, Sicilian with black. Yeah, so clearly a family that is very, very good at chess, despite how controversial they may be. In today's video, we're going to be reviewing a game he played against Piers Morgan, who is a British TV personality, is what I'm going to call him. Also just as controversial. I mean, everyone has their opinions on him as well. So it's very interesting. This game was under a 5-minute time control, and it was played in front of like hundreds of thousands of people around the world. Now millions have seen it. So we're actually going to review it today. The game review says that Andrew Tate played at like a 20, I think it's like 2500, I forget what it said, and Piers played at like 1700 or something. Don't really look too much into that. Game rating's always going to be high when you're playing somebody significantly lower than you, because the best moves are going to be a lot easier to find because their blunders will be more apparent, if that makes any sort of sense. Nonetheless, if you enjoy this style of content, please smash that like button, guys. Subscribe if you're new, and comment some other celebrities that play chess. I don't want to say celebrity. Is he a celebrity? I don't know, just big personalities, we'll say. Just comment down below anyone else you want me to review. Let's jump straight into the game. If you are an avid supporter of this channel, then I got to let you know that I got the tea on standby. If you're new to this channel, then I'm sorry you had to see that, but I got to let them know every time. Andrew Tate white pieces, Piers Morgan black pieces. Game starts d4. I mean, I did tell you guys he is a Queen's Gambit connoisseur, we're going to say. It's all he really plays. Piers opts for d5, just mirroring him. And then we get c4. So now Piers Morgan can either accept the gambit and take this pawn. He can play here, which is the Slav. He can just develop his pieces. There are so many different options here for Piers Morgan. He opts to play e6, which is a move. Andrew Tate plays c3, so this is like a Queen's Gambit decline now, where the Queen's Knight is heading out first. So now both players are just going to start to develop their pieces, and then we shall reach the middle game. We get c6. Andrew Tate develops his bishop. Piers Morgan pins this knight to the queen. This is like what you see in a London system, isn't it? I mean, this is like the sort of trifecta you get. Obviously, in the London, you want to play c3, not c4, so that's why it isn't the London. But nonetheless, it's a very sort of similar position. Piers Morgan gobbles up the knight. Now, this is like... it's an interesting move. I hate to do it personally. I would never take this knight, just because Andrew can just take back like this, and then he's going to have like overwhelming pressure on the centre. Just because he has two pawns on this c-file, which can really heavily attack the pawn on d5. So Andrew Tate is going to have a lock on that centre now. And the bishop pair, that's another thing. In like the upper echelon of chess, if you can have the bishop pair in an endgame, it's a lot better than knight and bishop. Don't ask me why. I'm just a chess player. Takes on c3, pawn takes back, overwhelming pressure on the d-file. Queen h4 is now a massive mistake. As you can see, that the the eval bar has shot up to, like, I don't know, +2 is that? It's close to +2, it's edging up. Oh, okay, so it's +2 if Andrew finds all the right moves, I presume. So you can either just take this pawn, which is just now hanging in the centre, which is the best move, or I don't know, you could even like trade here first and then take. There is a lot you could do, and then I don't know, maybe like start pushing this pawn, trying to just sort of develop your bishop, get the knight out, attacking the queen. Queen h4 is just a bad move. I mean, Andrew is just going to develop his pieces and attack it at the same time. So Piers loses a tempo, has to retreat his queen while Andrew Tate develops pieces. It's just a bad move. Andrew opts to just take the free pawn because why wouldn't you? It's a hanging pawn. Piers plays knight f6. And I want to remind you guys, this game is literally being played in front of like hundreds of thousands of people. This is like the equivalent to like classical world championship tournaments, the sort of audience that they're drawing in just on this random British broadcasting TV show. Because of how controversial Andrew Tate is as a personality, people want to see him, and it just so happens at the end of their interview they played this game. So it's mind-blowing. I mean, this opened up doors to chess fans that didn't even exist, so this was good for the chess world, as yeah, interesting of a game as it actually is. We get knight f6, and then we get the move bishop g3, just dropping back. Now, knight f3 was actually a better move if we're going to be completely pedantic here. Obviously, he's losing anyway, Piers Morgan, but yeah, knight f3 kicks the queen away, you gain a tempo, you develop a piece, it's just a lot better. But we get bishop g3, which is fine, it kicks the queen away. Queen g5 is an inaccuracy. They wanted queen h6, so I guess just sort of, I don't know really, moving off here. I guess you can just play here and just sort of, I don't actually know. Oh no, it's just because now you just develop your knight attacking the queen. So you're gaining 2 tempos here. That took me longer to see than what it should have. But yeah, you just develop your knight now attacking the queen. And the queen has to move again. Piers! That is such a bad move. The queen is under attack, guys. So, unless you have a way of attacking their queen, you have to move your queen back. Queen back. Unless you've got like checks or danger levels or some massive checkmate threat, you have to move your queen. I don't know what the hell castling is. You have to move your queen here. Piers Morgan says, I don't need a queen to beat you. I'm a gangster. You're not going to beat me. So just hangs his queen in 1. But again, this game is broadcasted in front of hundreds of thousands of people. Millions have watched it. The pressure's going to get to you. I don't know what the time situation was at this point. I'm relatively certain that Andrew Tate was lower on time than Piers was. Could be the other way around, obviously, but what the hell do I know? Picks up the queen for free, and then we get rook to e8, which is, yeah, fine. It's a fine move. We get queen c2, so obviously just putting pressure, lining this threat up at some point if this knight ever did move or something. Obviously that would block the queen, but I don't know, you could sort of maybe look to castle, rook to e1, and then just break open the centre with this pawn. And then if they don't take, look to threaten the knight, and then when it moves, queen jumps in. h6 kicks the knight away, so we get knight to f3, we get knight g4, we get h3 kicking the knight away. Okay, so that's funny, right? That's actually quite a funny move sequence. So Piers Morgan has just sinned that he's kicked Andrew Tate's knight away, which is a great move. I mean, yeah, best move in the position probably. Or it says e5 is like marginally better, but h6 is a great move. Kicks the knight away, and then you jump your own knight in, which can just be kicked away. I don't know, it's funny, isn't it? It's funny how chess, you just, short-term memories, guys. Bishop on e5 is very nicely placed because this pawn can't easily get to it to attack it. Obviously the knight can take, but then you just have this beautiful outpost for your own knight, so it's you know, and we do get this position. Piers Morgan then decides to take here. This just allows Andrew to develop his bishop naturally, taking back, then get castled. But you sort of have to take it eventually, because otherwise they're going to take, and then there's like a semi-open e-file, which doesn't really benefit black. So you do sort of have to take. The position is very worse for wear. It's not really going to get much better. We get b6, which is fine, just looking to put your bishop on here, maybe threaten g2 I don't know, Andrew for some reason didn't see that. He castles now, so the threat of fianchettoing is null and void. G6 I don't like personally. This completely weakens your knight, and this would just be a lovely outpost for your own knight at some point later on in the game. It's +7 anyway, so I am just being very pedantic, just picking on anything I can find. But G6, I don't really like it. The engine thinks it's fine, because the engine, you could hang a queen and it would find a way to draw. This is a lovely move. Wow, that is a lovely move. Oh my goodness, look at this. This just becomes crushing. That is such a nice find. Knight takes on G6 is gorgeous. Oh my god. I presume Piers Morgan actually calculated that it would be suboptimal to take this knight. That's quite impressive. Wow. I remember the discussion actually. Andrew was sort of goading him in the game and saying like, "Take my knight, Piers. Take my knight." And Piers was like, "No, I'm not going to take your knight." So I don't actually know if he calculated it or if he just knew that if he took the knight, the position would be worse for wear. I don't know, but nonetheless, we get bishop to b7, fianchettoing this bishop after about 18 moves. We get rook to e1. Wow! This is an interesting move, because I always struggle to know which rook to move, because you always have an idea of a square you want the rook on, but knowing whether to move the a rook or the rook on the f file is always difficult, I find. So to move your a pawn, blocking your f pawn in, I don't know, when they still have a light squared bishop on the board, let's just say you played, okay, let's just play some random moves, blah, 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 and then you played here. This rook is blocked in. It's very minor, because you are up so much material, but it's just, you would never really think to move the a pawn as opposed to the a pawn, the a rook instead of the f rook there, but nonetheless he has a higher rating than I do, so what do I know? So in this position, Piers actually does take the knight with the pawn, and then Andrew takes with the queen. We get queen to f8, which is the best move. What would happen if you went this way? The threats are very slow because of this rook. I guess you'd sort of play here, but then this knight defends this square, so this battery isn't really doing a lot. But yeah, nonetheless, king f8, queen to h6 check, just picking up a free pawn. The king is running for its life. Oh my god, Andrew is just picking up every piece of material he can. Oh, that's a gorgeous move, isn't it? Obviously, the rook is pinned to the king, so picking up this pawn, the rook can't just take, and even if it did take, that would be a very suboptimal trade. Brings his other rook into the game. I don't know, this seems pretty risky because you are blocking squares from your king and just hanging a rook. Wow, yeah. He must have been low on time. I'm assuming they're both just very low on time, because now you pick up both rooks, and mate is now forced, actually. Wow. So yeah, he's just going to march his pawns down the board. Obviously can't take because there's numerous ways in which you can take. Probably like this would be best because then you still have this battery. Yep. But nonetheless, just pushing pawns. That's like a really last ditch effort to, like, I don't know, distract him and make it mate in 4 instead of mate in 2. Because obviously you can just take here, king is forced to go here, and then queen f7 is checkmate, and that is what we got in the game, guys. So yeah, guys, Andrew Tate picks up the win against Piers Morgan in front of hundreds of thousands of people. Very impressive win. Obviously Piers Morgan did make it very easy for him with the early queen h4 idea. Getting the queen out is never a good idea, guys, unless you know the theory of, like, I don't know, the mainline Scandinavian where you're putting it on a5, then by all means go for it. But in this particular Queen's Gambit declined, it's, you know, just leave the queen where it is for a little while longer, I reckon. Guys, if you've enjoyed that video, please smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new, I would greatly appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.